Hello, and welcome to Starting Points, where one thing leads to another. I'm going to start this section of videos for adults, just because the books are harder, with this book, The Living Earth, by Peter Farb. I came across it, many years ago, and it, as well as with another book of his, it was, it opened a whole new world to me. At that point, had never done a lot of exploring underground. So I do remember trying to dig a huge hole and went down about 3 feet in the ground. But to know about the world, a world unseen by most of us, that Peter brings up to the light of day, is it was mind-boggling, and it gives me a different picture of life on the planet. And actually, I'm going to finish with a book that did the same sort of turned a light on for me. So I highly recommend it. He covers all kinds of creatures that live underground, from bumblebees to mammals. Certainly the insect world is pretty well represented, and it's just if you can assimilate what he shares in this book, it just, I think, will help grounded me. I think subconsciously helped grounded me. But it's not something that's readily talked about or observable. So he does a wonderful job making this clear. And the interesting thing is, he followed his interest, and it led to him writing about this, it led to him writing about that, it led to him exploring things in Africa, it led to him thinking about, and one thing led to another to another. So he's a perfect example of that, Peter Farb. Now, of the creatures that live underground, we know there are worms. It's amazing. There's a school that I would drive by here, and when there's been a spring rain, and their playground would be covered with robins and other birds, because the water filled up the tunnels of the earthworms, and the earthworms would come up. You find the same thing happen on the pavement and things like that too, maybe by driveway, and up they come. So this book is by Patricia Lauber. She's written about a wide range of things, including early settlers in North America. So she's got a curiosity, and so about harnessing earthworms, recycling in nature, the cause of decay. So maybe this could be like a first book for 10-year-old, 12-year-olds, and working from that, the crisscross tunnels of the earthworms. And he had a picture. She has a picture in the front of a person in Australia. Same body structure as worms here, but these are giant earthworms. There's the hand. These are giant earthworms. I don't know how many earthworms are there. I'm assuming that there's probably this seems to maybe match up with that. It could be 3 feet long. So there's now weeds. This is also a subject that most of us know pretty little about, and develop an opinion about plants that, well, that's just a weed. Let's get rid of it. So this is a guidebook of the weeds of Canada and of northern United States. And it's been put together by France Royer and Richard Dickinson. And they have color photographs, wild radish, quick ID, distribution, where it's been designated as a weed, what states in the U.S. and where in Canada. Description, seedling, leaves, flower, plant, fruit, reasons for concern, similar species. Hedge nettle, same things, and it's the milkweed family. It's I think, an excellent guide. The harebell family. I mean, how could you consider that to be a weed? I mean, really, it's amazingly beautiful. So now this book, here's common mullein. Now I put a marker in there because recently I had an experience with common mullein. Now I know mullein. Its leaves are got thousands of soft little fuzzies to them, sort of like a smooth fabric, and it grows to a flowering head at about maybe 5 feet, and then that becomes a seed, a bank. Well, there's a person who I walk down the street and take the first street to the right, and just up a ways has come from England, and she's got all kinds of plantings that she put in there, and there's mullein there. Right now it's only about maybe a foot and a half, but by the end of the summer it'll be gigantic. And I noticed it the first time I went walking around the block. The nice thing about walking is you're going at a pace. I like to bike, but I think walking is it allows you to look around and listen to birds and find, and see things in the trees. And anyway, that's beside the point of the story, because there was a man out front. Now, she lives there. One of her three sons shares the place with her, and this man was there doing some cleaning up outside and filling up the back of his pickup truck and to take things to the garden waste place. And we got talking. I said, I see you got to, and one thing led to another. We talked about this, and he was one of 10 children. His mother had 10 children in 10 years, he said. She was Irish. Then the family moved from Ireland to Scotland for a little bit, and then they came to Canada. And he's lived in many different areas. He's been in Victoria before. I asked him if he had red hair because his eyebrows were red. And so that got into, one thing led to another, in other words. And he was, said he used to perform juggling tricks and things at the inner harbor in Victoria. People, musicians, artists, jugglers sign for a time slot and perform there, and it's an attraction, outdoor attraction. Well, I think when he told me what his name was Red, that's what he goes by, and I'm thinking, I remember, and I said to him, I think we saw you, my children and we'd go down there, and I think we may have seen you there. And he says he's working on a new trick, and he pulls out this coin, a big size coin, and here it is. It shows the King of England, 1917. He bought it from an uncle, 50 of them, and he takes this and he does a trick. He says, which hand's it in? And I say, I think it's that one. And so he opens the hand, it's not in that. And then he says, well, let's try it again. Okay. Oh, we try it again. Okay. Which hand's it in? Oh, I think it's this one, I said. And he said, oh, what about the other hand? He said. And I said, oh, it must be in the other hand. Nope. And then, so, somewhere, and then he does it one more time, and he produces it and does it another. And I'm thinking, and then when he finishes, he gives me the coin. I'm thinking, oh my goodness gracious, and, but no, yeah, he says, that's all right, I got 50 of them. So, you never know. That's the nice thing about walking, meeting and talking to neighbors and people, and seeing changes that happen all the time. It's, I don't need to go around the world to Australia. Well, we'll get back to Australia too, don't forget. So that's the mullen. So it has now it has a special thing that I attached to it. The book that I use when I'm looking for weeds is the book called Weeds of Canada, put out by the Queen's printer. That doesn't show weeds that are in the United States, though I'm sure that many of them appear. And it doesn't have color pictures. It's all pen drawings, and but it's been really helpful. Like in our front yard, we get dandelions, and we also get another sort of dandelion-like. It's in the dandelion family, and it will be yellow, but it's not as big as a dandelion, and it grows way on a tall stem like this, and not close to the ground. The leaves look like dandelion leaves, and so I found it. You know, I read this. There were several here that looked like, oh, it could have been that. No, there's this, that doesn't right, and I could go out and check and say, no, that's it. And so it's a fall hawkbit, and tells where it originated: Europe, Asia, and Northwest Africa, and where it's common in its habitats, and it's particularly well adapted to the invasion of well-grazed permanent pastures. Anyway, that's a very handy guide. And then there's this guide called Weeds in Winter, written and illustrated by Lauren Brown. Same thing. And in here, for example, is a teasel. And I remember when I first saw teasels, and a friend I knew who lived in the country brought me some teasels, and here's one of them I've kept for a long time. It's a memory of that person, and they had a use in Scotland. They were used to help first brush the wool to get seeds and things out of the wool, a natural brush. So weeds in winter. Now, my weeds, Gardener's Botany by Sarah B. Stein, S-T-E-I-N, Sarah, S-A-R-A. I just, she brings up so many interesting points. So I want to share a couple things from the book. By 1753, Linnaeus had learned in the course of his travels and studies of about 6,000 species, plant and animal. He estimated that the total number might be about 10,000. The number of species now described includes over 325,000 plants and more than 1 million animals, not counting insects, of which there are now estimated to be 30 million kinds of insects. Whoa. So, here's this man who was observant but over the 200 plus years, what a catalog of life on the planet. Some of it lives underground. She's got a chapter in here, an essay. Each essay is a learning experience for her as she tries to garden and change things and do things. And in the process, she shares her learning experience. And it becomes mine as well, about the use of black plastic, the problem with trying to cover something that you want to do away with black plastic. And that desire to be weed-free. She makes this comment: the magic of childhood learning is that it is absorbed like a melody in which one phrase summons the whole song. One thing leads to another, to another, to another. I remember this, and that led to that, and that reminds me of that, and that day that Dad and I went, you know, and she's talking about times with her father going out and exploring about and finding all these wild. He first taught her the names of Dogtooth Valet and Jack in the Pulpit and Trillium and Bloodroot and Solomon's Seals and Lady Slippers. And each plant name I learned as a child emerges from memory, strung with the whole ecology in which that plant occurred, the whole picture of what they saw that particular day. Those ecologies are weedless. So in her mind, she sees that that plant is a necessary, integral part of the ecology. It's not something to get rid of. It belongs there. And I just think that's such a wonderful image I've now got of this melody, this song of okay. I think I've probably shown you all of them except not the Dark Range, but I want to say that the man that wrote the Dark Range, I want to share a book of his. His name is David Rains Wallace, and I first met him in this book, A Naturalist's Night Notebook. And it's, I said, you know, that what lives in the earth, we hardly know. Well, what lives in, is active in the night, we hardly know either. But he would go out and explore and observe and write about it. He's a beautiful writer. So I have this book that I wanted to let you know about. Actually, two books here. The Untamed Garden and Other Personal Essays. So in this, he writes about just the untamed garden, gardening with pests, the dung heap, the way of all grass, puddles, life in the cemetery, walk on ridgelands, lost worlds of the Connecticut, down in Florida, and over in Japan, Japan's wild nature, the big two-hearted wilderness, the wetlands, the mind of the beaver, the starlings, the ravens. It's again, these things are eye-opening books. The idle weeds, life in the sandstone ridge in Ohio, that exploring and expanding our senses and our knowledge and our understanding of life on this planet. Quite something. Well, thanks for joining me. Until next time, bye for now.